here. I think this is your first time
I think
on my
so.
podcast, right?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. I've had you on mine and then on my radio show. So yeah, I think this is my first time here.
You might as well just do a quick plug. And what is your podcast? What is your radio show?
Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Lyndon Burton. I am the host of the Bros Who Think podcast, creator of the Bros Who Think network. We have like 5 podcasts ongoing right now, from movies to anime to sports and pop culture. And then I host a sports radio show for ESPN Lafayette called Rise and Grind every morning at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. You can, if you are in the Louisiana Lafayette area, if not, ESPN Lafayette app. But yeah, that's me. Basically, the best place to find me though is my podcast, probably. If not, my radio show every morning. But like I
Yeah.
said, you got to live in Lafayette
Yeah,
for the most
and
part.
we've had some great segments when I've come on your radio show in the morning. So everyone, please definitely check that out. You have some great content. You're a great dude. That's one of my favorite things about podcasting is it allows me to connect with people such as yourself. I would have never met you if it wasn't for the power of podcasting. So now it's pretty cool that we constantly get to talk sports. Now you are into movies. I know that. I'm a
Yes,
huge,
sir.
huge movie guy. So let's get off topic real quick. One thing that I love about podcasts is that it's just you and I can have a convo. You know, like when you're on TV, if you're on radio, you do have to stick to certain things. There's commercials and whatnot. Podcasting just is so free. We could talk. Let me ask you, Batman, love it or hate it?
Oh, love it, love
It
it.
was amazing, right?
Yeah, to me, I said this before the movie started, and my prediction was that the Batman would be the best comic book movie of the past 5 years and of the next 5 years, as long as its sequel's not better than it. And I think that's pretty true. Like, I don't think it compares to, like, you can't compare Spider-Man No Way Home to what the
No, no, no.
Batman is. The
Yeah,
Batman is like a 5-star steak dinner, where Spider-Man No Way Home is like fast food, and that's no disrespect to it. It's just this Batman is cinema, man. Like, that thing was riddled with just beautiful cinematography. The acting was superb. It was an incredible movie.
yeah, I did. Now, when people say, is it the best Batman? Of course, they immediately compare it to The Dark Knight because you think of Heath Ledger and the Joker. There's not going to
Hmm.
be a better Joker than Heath Ledger. I'm going to stand on my grave with that one. But I will say I do believe it's a better movie than
Yep.
the better movie. Now that says something because Dark Knight I feel like is one of the very few movies that you can continue to watch over and over and over and over again, and it doesn't lose any value or that magical feel. And I think that's why it's so popular, not only because of Heath Ledger's performance, but that movie is just so rewatchable. Now I don't know if this movie will be as rewatchable now. For me, it is. Like I already saw it on HBO Max again. I saw it
Same.
twice on theaters, right? So like, because I love movies, but for the general public, but as far as like you said, that comic book feel very dark. It's rainy. I love how they did the Riddler. At this
Yep.
point, I don't think it's a spoiler alert. It had a very dark vibe to it, right? It wasn't just like this comic book villain that's easy to beat. No, he's like a real deal serial killer. Like
Yep.
this is it was scary.
And the thing is, like, Gotham itself is a character in this movie. Whereas in The Dark Knight, it felt
Right.
like, okay, I'm seeing Chicago, I'm seeing New York, but
Yep.
this, I couldn't pinpoint the city. And you got to give Matt Reeves, the director, credit, because he went to
Yep.
like Glasgow, he went to London, he went to like, I believe he went to somewhere in Germany as well, and just got like different cityscapes
Yeah.
and constructed this. And when you see it, that shot where it's Gotham in the Times Square with all the different billboards, you
Yep.
see it's
Yep.
like multiple cities combined, and that to me felt very Arkham video gamey. Like, it just, this guy who made it, Matt Reeves, knew what he was doing, and you could tell he was a fan.
Yeah. And now at first I got a little scared because I saw that him and Patterson didn't get along. And so at first there wasn't going to be a sequel. I'm like, DC, do not screw this up.
Not,
Please. Like,
see, and that's bad
find a way
rumors.
to
That's
have
bad
something.
rumors. They came out and was like, "Yeah, we are cool. Like, don't believe
Okay.
none of that
Okay.
stuff." Like,
Oh my
they're gonna
God.
do a trilogy, pretty much. Like that. That was confirmed from Matt. Like, he said, as long as they let us, we're doing it. And Rob was like, "I'll be in this as long as y'all want me to be. As long as the people like it."
Perfect.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
this will continue for a while.
Because okay, I've already done Marvel movies, DC movies to NBA players. Well, I'm just going to say what Tony Stark, right? What he was able to do and what Captain America and that core group of Avengers were able to do was like reminiscent of Tom Brady. And like I'm saying this because it's so easy to watch a great movie, but the fact that they were able to keep that same cast for so long and make so many different movies, you get to grow. Like that's why people love shows, because you get to grow and develop with the characters. You very rarely get to do that with movies, but they were able to do that, and that's that magical feel. And I just hope that they're able to do the same thing with Robert Pattinson, just because it's a great movie, right? He fits the Batman role in a way that we really didn't see. But I feel like they always fail to keep their roster over a long period of time. So I'm hoping with him, you get that little bit of a longevity. And if that's the case, what you're saying, which I believe you, because I was a sucker to the rumor. I saw that immediately. I was like, no way.
Yep. And he's putting like TV shows out about his universe. Like they're letting him do a Arkham Asylum TV show. He's Colin Farrell's Penguin's getting a TV show. So this universe is going to be expanded. We're going to live inside of the Pattinson Batman universe for a while. And I'm excited.
The whole DC, because it's been very one-sided, right? So DC owns the comics, but Marvel clearly has kicked their butt in the movies.
Yep. Movies has been MCU. I'll say TV. I'll give DC TV for sure. And then video games and comics has been DC. But in the movie front, the MCU has dominated for like 12 years straight. Yeah, like you said, it's been very Brady-esque.
It's been a dynasty. So I'm hoping, but now that the guards have changed, right now Tom Brady just stepped down, right? So we don't have Tom Brady in New England anymore. We don't have the same cast in Marvel anymore. So this is DC's time to strike. Do you think? I know we're getting this is F it. This is what we do. We're allowed to talk whatever we want.
Yeah, man, this is your show, bro. Whatever you want to talk, I'm here. I got you.
I've seen two different reports. Should I say reports? You go on TikTok, right? You see two different things that what people kind of want. So obviously, if you saw I'm assuming you did, the Joker extended clip.
Yes, sir.
Looked awesome, right? And so I think that would be the popular demand, but some people say that's a little too quick, right? Especially if they're doing a trilogy. So the second one that I keep seeing is Mr. Freeze, just because the water is all over the city. It's a great opportunity for him, obviously, to freeze water. What would you say? What is first the one that you would want to see?
Okay.
Is the right fit, like right for you personally, which one do you want to see, and do you think is actually going to be the pick for the second villain?
Okay, I got you. Let me do the first one first, because I think Matt Reeves has came out and said that he likes the idea of Mr. Freeze. So I think that's where a lot of people are getting that from, is because he said that. And then they added their own spin to it. But for me personally, what I would like to see is something that, and I do think Mr. Freeze can work, because like you said, the water's there. There's room for that. And if you look at the trajectory of the Batman, he has to become a Bruce Wayne, and he's learning that vengeance is in the way. And Mr. Freeze is the perfect villain for that, because he's complex. He's not someone who is just like, I'm evil, I'm killing. No, he's killing for a purpose because of his wife, and they did him bad. So that makes sense for where he's going as a character. But for me, I think they hinted so much at Bruce Wayne's like corrupt parents and what his parents were involved in like how Gotham has this hierarchy of elites. And in the comics, they had a revolutionary run in like the mid 2000s called The Court of Owls, written by Scott Snyder. Yeah. And that I think would be not only cinematic gold, but you get something that you've never seen in a movie before, like the almost Illuminati-esque underbelly of like Gotham elites running things. So you're challenging Bruce Wayne mentally, but the head of this, or well, not the head, but their assassin is called Talon, and he's someone who can challenge Batman both physically and mentally, and that's what I would like to see. But I'm okay with if you save that for the third movie and you do Mr. Freeze in the second. And I know you're thinking, well, where's Joker? I actually would like to see Joker as the role that Matt Reeves had him in the first one, and I think they should extend that to where Joker is almost Hannibal Lecter. Like, he's in jail, and Batman goes and see him, and they have this like dynamic where they talk, and it's like, I go to you for advice. I'm this Hannibal Lecter, and then like at the end of it, if we get a forced movie, he escapes, and then that way you've built it up over all of this time, and now this Joker that we've gotten to know through these conversations in jail is finally out, and we can see him do his running of Rampage and whatnot.
Okay, now, I would say this. If I was guaranteed that there's going to be 4 movies, I'm all for that. But because I'm not, and because not everyone knows the comics like you do, and my father owned a comic book store, that's why I was so immersed in it. The Court of Owls, for example, right? I think I agree with everything you just said, but is that going to be box office
That's
the same way that a Joker would be? Because obviously people know Riddler, right?
Yeah.
People know Mr. Freeze, but not everyone knows the Court of Owls. They're not a very popular villain. Now the diehards, of course, do, but like the general public probably doesn't. And so if you're going to follow up with such a great movie with Riddler in a marketing point, and just because of people seeing the extended clip, people seeing Joker in the movie, and me even personally, selfishly, I kind of want to see the Joker though. I kind of
I'm not mad at it. I understand. Joker is like, he's the man. Like, you don't make a Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. You don't do all these different renditions if he wasn't the guy. And you're 100% right. That would get you the most revenue. That would generate the most income.
Right.
But I'm going to say something like this. Look at Marvel. Marvel took C-lit, like, people didn't know who Iron Man was before Marvel said, you know what, we're going to make Iron Man. People didn't know, like, yeah, they knew who Captain America was, but they didn't know who Thor was. They definitely didn't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. And, like, if you look at Marvel, I compared to DC. DC's big three is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. If you look at Marvel's original big three, it is not Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. It is Spider-Man, Hulk, and Wolverine. Yeah. That is their breadwinner, and then you can throw Fantastic Four next up, because look at the movies that were made before this whole MCU thing. That were the most popular characters. So Kevin Feige said, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take characters that aren't necessarily people know, but that have a cult comic book following, and I'll let the nerds lead the charge, and then the rest of the general public will follow after. And I think with such a big name like Batman, I think Batman is too big to fail as long as it's good.
Okay, no, that's a fair assessment. My last question for you with that then would be, would you think of Joker?
And I like him, and I'm a big fan of Barry Keoghan. I think Barry Keoghan is a very, very good actor. Most popular, you can see him in Eternals, but I think his real good movie is Killing of the Sacred Deer, which is an A24 indie darling. And I think Barry Keoghan's a great actor. I thought after what you've gotten from Heath, what you've gotten from Joaquin, what you've gotten from even Jared Leto, no matter whether you like him or you don't, this is a good way to transition from that, making this a physically impaired Joker, someone who didn't necessarily, he might have fallen in the vat, but that's not why he's like that. He was born with a birth defect, which forces him to smile, and he peels off his skin. Like, you see all that grossness. And again, this is another reason why I think Scott Snyder Court of Owls is a thing. That is Scott Snyder's Joker, like 100%. That is Scott Snyder's Joker, and I wouldn't be surprised if that man cuts off his face and puts it on like Scott Snyder did in the comics. Wouldn't be surprised.
Man, I think, man, I when I first saw it, because immediately
he's creepy, man. He's
creepy. You're right. Yeah. I think Heath Ledger is number one. Joaquin Phoenix played the best role he could possibly play, but that version to me wasn't better. It's just different. It's 100% different. I agree. That Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, is working for Heath Ledger's Joker. Like, there's levels to it. Mm-hmm. And then this one, I do think could be the most disturbing. Like, this one is like, ooh, you would not want to be in a room with that dude. Like,
and this movie kind of had a horror film vibe to it. Not to cut you off. Yeah. Like, when you look, the first scene is Riddler, and when he pops up behind the mayor, I'm like, whoa, like, okay, that's the tempo. I know what I'm in for. So it makes sense that you have this horror vibe of a Batman to have this like horror vibe of a Joker.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm excited. I knew you loved movies. I was like, I had to run that past you.
I'm glad you did. Like, that was awesome.
Selfishly, I want Joker. I do. I think Mr. Freeze is Joker, but because I don't have a lot of faith in DC, I just want to get Joker, so at least experience
it.
I don't want the opportunity of missing it.
Hey, let me give you another side, just real quick. Yeah. With Mr. Freeze, you can do a 2-part villain, because Matt Reeves likes to do that, make Gotham feel lived in. The city's flooded, so like, there's an aquatic villain that Batman has in Killer Croc. You don't have to make him the main villain. Just have him as like a henchman, someone that's a side character. I think if you're gonna keep it to where we don't time skip the flood, that's something that would make sense thematically as well.
Yeah, it's actually, no one's even brought that up.
Oh yeah, that's something that I was like, Killer Croc instantly. Like, have him as like C, like how there's a C story, a B story, and an A story. Have him as like the C or B story.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think they did brilliantly in this movie, Penguin, right?
Mm-hmm.
was that side character, and then obviously you had Falcone, and you had all these different things going on. But that's what adds the elements, the layers to the movie. So that is actually really good.
That's why it felt lived in. That's why, like I said, Gotham was a character because, like you said, you have Falcone, you have Penguin, you have Catwoman. This is for the first time where it actually felt like comic book Gotham City more than anything.
Look at you, man, knowing your stuff.
Look, man, I host a movie pod. I gotta know a little something.
I like it. Let's talk some NBA though. For those that tune into this episode, want to hear some NBA talk. So I was thinking, I knew we were going to do this podcast, and so I was thinking about. I was watching the games last night, and then I was thinking, why is it so intriguing? Like, this postseason just seems like it has a different feel to it than most postseasons. And I realized it because the NBA is a book, right? The NBA is a book, and it's full of chapters, whether that's legacies, players, playoff series, moments. It's all full of chapters. And each individual page tells a story to this NBA book. And we've turned into a new chapter. And the reason why it's so intriguing is because these players haven't finished writing their pages. So we're seeing them now enter into this new chapter, right? When we're closing that chapter of LeBron now. But no matter what postseason it was, he pretty much finished his chapter. Like, win or lose, he's the second or greatest player of all time. But this one now, Giannis is writing his own chapter. Right? Ja Morant's starting his pages. Anthony Edwards, the beginning start of his chapter. So now that's why it's so intriguing. We're seeing new stories now. We're seeing new pages being written. And so it's so intriguing because Luka Doncic just won his first playoff series. That's a new page in his chapter. And so that is why, to me, this playoff series is so intriguing. Would you say that's accurate?
100%.
What is so involved?
100%. Like, I think it's not just LeBron, to your point. Let's even add to it. KD and Kyrie are out of the playoffs. Like, you have no Kevin Durant. You have no Kyrie. James Harden isn't in the fourth. Like, as much as great as the Sixers are and Sixers are winning are in the playoffs, James Harden isn't the man driving that ship. So all the names that we've had for the past decade, minus a Steph Curry, is the young people. Like, Steph Curry's the old guard. Chris Paul's the old guard. But even on Chris Paul's team, it's Devin Booker. We want to know about him, DeAndre Ayton. This is the new NBA. And I think seeing all of these young guys, like, the Timberwolves series was so great to me because it's like, okay, we have Anthony Edwards coming, step up, writing his chapter, like you said, versus Ja Morant. You see the shades of the old greatness. Like, does he have this killer instinct? We can have those conversations again of, like, is he a killer? Who's a killer? Who's not? Who's an assassin? And I think seeing those things, whether it's Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, Ja Morant, seeing these young stars grow into these, like you said, into their own chapter and into these roles that we have for some of these players, it's beautiful to see. And now it's going to start new conversations, new debates, like who's the best player in the league. It has to be Giannis now. Like, it has to be. Like, I can't argue it anymore for Kevin Durant. I can't. Like,
see now. Oh, man. So I've gotten into it with a couple people about this. And I'm like, look, I'm not pushing Kevin Durant down by just elevating Giannis. I'm just wanting people to give Giannis his flowers.
His credit, yeah, for sure.
Since he won the championship, because I was like, look, LeBron is still the best player in the world in moments. But once Giannis won it, because I always said he's Hulk, right? He has this untapped strength that no one can match. But until he can control it and play strategically, right? Catch it in the mid post instead of just always dominating the ball, being a better passer, adding that jump shot. This will be his league. And he's shown he's now Professor Hulk. Now, he's still fine tuning it. There's still room for growth, better jump shot, but he's a better passer now. He doesn't dominate the ball as much. Elite defender, incredibly efficient, still unmatched strength. I'm like, this is 100% Giannis's league now. But because we're spoiled because we went from Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic. Then it was Jordan. And then you saw that Kobe Duncan. And then all of a sudden it's LeBron. And so these are all-timers. Now, even though Giannis can be an all-timer, the last person that had the throne is arguably the greatest to ever have the throne for the longest period of time, and that's LeBron. So he may not dominate the way LeBron dominated it, but this is his league. And I think Boston is the perfect series to kind of showcase this, if that is the case, because now he doesn't have Middleton for an extended period of time. And Boston just beat KD and Kyrie, swept them. They didn't even win one game on this defensive juggernaut type of team. So if Giannis can beat this team that KD and Kyrie couldn't get one game for, that showcases it 100%. And now I'm not using this to downplay what KD and Kyrie. I said they're the most skilled duo of all time. But this is a case to show how great Giannis is.
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I think it's to your point of looking at the transition from stars. We were expecting, okay, now that LeBron it's not longer his league, it's Kevin Durant's, and we put him there. And it's Giannis came and said, hold up. No, it's not his time. It's my time. And they were the most disrespected champion. Like you said, I said, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, Nets were injured. It's Nets. I got to see it to believe it. Celtics go out and beat them. Well, you got to give the credit to Giannis. And now we'll see if you can beat the Celtics. It's no doubt in my mind it's 100% your league with no Middleton. It's your show, and got to give credit to Drew Holiday stepping up and dropping 26 points to Giannis's 25. Didn't expect that from Drew, and Giannis will need that. But for the most part, he has to have 25 plus for the rest of this series going.
The reason why I take Giannis is whether you want to say it's KD or it's Embiid or it's Jokic, Giannis has it. Like, he has this grit about him where he's like, these are my guys. I'm here. There's no drama. I'm all basketball. I'm going to work hard. I don't want the throne. I'm not saying I'm the best. I want to keep proving it. And I don't want to act like we're the champions. I want to act like we're the contenders. We're going to, he's just hungry. And he says all the right things you'd want for a franchise guy. Like, there is zero drama in Milwaukee. Like, zero.
None.
There's been drama.
And if there is, we don't hear about it.
Yeah, I've never heard about it ever. And that's like, I'm sure there's plenty of things to complain about. You look at the teams that have been assembled, Giannis doesn't have like this stacked team. Now, they have a very well-balanced team for what he needs. But I mean, you look at other stars that are teaming up with each other, he doesn't really have like a super team. I mean, Middleton's a great player. Holiday's a really good player. But it's not like he's combining with these amazing all-stars. And you're like, okay, well, that makes sense. No, like he takes what he has. He had an opportunity to leave. He decided to stay, and he just wants to get it out the mud and work. And that's why I'm like, it's the intangibles. You don't have to worry about him going on Twitter. You don't have to worry about him arguing. Like, that's why I'm taking Giannis. But let me ask you this. So we'll stick in the East. You mentioned Harden, right? So he's not really driving the ship. It is Embiid's team. Like, this is Embiid's team. 100%. He hurts his orbital bone in the Toronto series, which I was impressed with Toronto to win those games. And now they're playing against Miami. Is this Miami team what you thought they were going to be? Because a lot of people didn't believe it after what they saw the post bubble. Me personally, I was never really sold on the Miami Heat. I think you and I talked about it a couple times, right? First seed, but I don't think they have a real superstar. They have a bunch of dogs. They have some really good championship DNA. But I wasn't sold that they're going to make it out of the East. Are you buying this team? Or is it just because of who they're matched up against recently?
I'm glad you said it. I'm still not buying it. I call the Utah Jazz fool's gold. Like, that's been my running thing. And the Miami Heat is now the fool's gold of the East because you're playing this broken down Sixers team that Doc Rivers refuses to play the young big man instead of playing DeAndre Jordan. Like, that team's not about to win, man. With no Embiid, it's just not going to happen. So I don't expect Miami to face a real challenge till they play the winner of Boston and the Bucks in Milwaukee. This Miami team, like, I saw it, and you see it in games, like when they really need it. Like, yeah, Jimmy Butler go have those 45-point nights and they have a blowout, but when they really need him and they need someone to go and hit that game winner or someone to really take over that fourth quarter, they don't have that guy. They just don't.
I'm glad you say that because there's certain things that I say, and I understand we're in this business. We're going to give strong takes. We're going to be wrong. We're going to be right. But certain things I say get a lot of pushback. The thing I'm just about to bring up to you now is going to get a lot of pushback. But the Miami Heat take did. And I'm like, I understand they're the first seed. I get it. There's been plenty of first seeds who don't really show up in the postseason, believe it or not. So I'm like, and I'm sticking to it. Even right now, I'm sticking to it. So
please do. Don't run away from that. Like, you will not get let down. Miami is going to let people down.
Exactly. So I want to shift to this one. So we have Dallas Phoenix. And I also said this on your radio show. I've tweeted it. This one got more pushback. This is my first death threat was after this take.
Damn, you got a death threat? Oh, my bad for cursing. My bad. Like, I was just shocked. No,
like, you're okay.
Jeez.
You shouldn't label it as a death threat, but they like hoped that me and Shad were dead or something like that.
Oh yeah, so they wish death upon you. Okay.
Yeah, they wish death upon me.
Hey, I take that as a compliment because when you making it, that's when you know when you get them haters.
That's what I said. I sent him a screenshot. I was like, well, yeah, it's making some noise now. And I said, listen, Luka is amazing. Like he's a generational talent. And I'm saying this before what I'm about to say. So I know how amazing he is. I watched him play in person and it just hit me. It was like a light bulb moment. And I was like, you can't win this way. You can't. And we've only seen it one time where it was sustainably, and that was LeBron James. The very, very rare exception. He was a better defender than Luka, more athletic than Luka. And I'm just going to be real. He's better than Luka. It's LeBron James.
Yep.
But let's just exclude LeBron from this conversation. We've never ever seen where it's sustainable. One guy is the whole system, and he wins multiple championships. Like Phil Jackson had to go to what many consider the GOAT, Michael Jordan, say, you can't win this way. We need to take the ball out of your hands. You can average 40 all day. That's not how you win playoff series. You're going to lose.
Had to do it to Kobe, too. Kobe tried to tell it to James Harden. Didn't work for him either.
Doesn't. And so I know how sexy it looks, the game winners, the 40 points. Like, look, Max. I'm like, I'm telling you, this is not sustainable when you play against a legitimate title contending team to win 4 times. And by the time you do get to the finals, let's just say you do off pure greatness, you're burnt out. Like there's no way. And he's young and he's looking burnt out. And this Phoenix team last night, JaVale McGee ripped them, went on a fast break, slammed it. This is not sustainable. And I said, I'm selling my Luka stock until he changes his style of play. And I got tons of pushback because he's supposed to be the next face of the league and whatnot. Do you see that as well?
Oh, I see it 100%. And I'm going to double down on what you said. Ooh. And I'm going to take it to the next level. The Pelicans were a harder matchup for the Suns than the Mavericks will be. And and let me tell you why. It's because when the Suns have to play the Pelicans, they have to worry about Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, JV. They have to worry about a bunch of things. When you play Luka Doncic, I'm sorry, Jalen Brunson dropped 41. That's great. He's going to get paid for that 41, but I'm not worried about him. If Jalen Brunson's going to beat me, I'll take it. Like if Dorian Finney-Smith is going to beat me, I'll take it. I know Monty Williams is saying that. I'll live with that. Do not let Luka beat us. That is the goal. That is the mentality of Phoenix. And I think, honestly, this will be an easier series for them matchup-wise because, like you said, when you play that style of, okay, you go out and get yours, Phoenix is too good of a defensive team for that. Like, they're going to zero in on you. They're going to send double teams, and they're going to force you to let someone else to beat you. And if that doesn't happen, Dallas will not win a game.
Not a game.
Look, I'll say that. I'll say this. They'll get one, but it's going to be a hard one to get. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, he's due for like an explosive night.
Yeah.
It may be a gentleman's sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and people think I'm hating on Luka when I'm saying this. I'm like, I'm not. I'm saying he's amazing, but that style of play is not like, when have you seen it in NBA history? Like, you just have not seen that.
And honestly, when he had Kristaps Porzingis, I was going through a YouTube hole of like preparing for my radio show, watching playoff games, rewatching films and stuff. And I forget the creator who made it, but instead of clicking the film of the game, I clicked his video by accident, but I'm glad I did. He pointed out multiple times throughout Dallas's years with Kristaps on how when the pick and rolls were happening early in the game, Luka would take on like 3 people, chunk it up, maybe make it. But that's why Kristaps was mad, because he wasn't getting him involved. And that's why when you see it later in the postseason, it's just pick and pop, and I'm going to shoot this far shot because he's not getting him involved. And I know Kristaps didn't play well, but Luka had to get some of that blame for it because he wasn't getting him involved, and he has to get his teammates more involved if he wants to win.
Yeah, I don't think he's easy to play with.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think he is. I think he's incredibly talented, and a lot of people aren't going to see our point of view until it's like, oh, 1 or 2 or 3 more years of him not winning. Wait a second. But right now, people are obsessed with the stats and the
And maybe that's why Giannis didn't want to play with him. A lot of people push for that. To let's do the international tag team, the international brothers. And Giannis didn't want no part of that. And maybe that's why, because he saw the film. And again, like you said, this is not to say Luka Doncic is a bad player. I'm the guy who said I would have chose him over Trae Young, Ayton, and Marvin Bagley. I'm the guy who thinks he's the best person from that draft. I love his style. I love his play. I love his ability. But until he realizes what Kobe tried to tell James Harden, and you got to pass, you got to get your teammates involved. And until he gets someone that is a little bit higher of a Jalen Brunson, because Jalen Brunson can be a third option. He needs a true second option, and until he gets that, it's going to be, like you said, first round exit, second round exit, maybe make it to a conference finals, but be burnt out by that point. Yeah. Like, that's what we're going to see for these next couple of years, unless he changes his style of play.
100%. Now, I know you were in a little bit of a time crunch. Are you good?
I'm good. You can go ahead.
Okay. Golden State and Memphis. Now, before we even get into this series, I know you and I both talked about Anthony Edwards. Like, he has it. Like, I've already seen it. He has it. And so I believe he has that win at all costs. I don't care about anything else. I want to win, and that's what I 100% want to see from a player. There's plenty of players that are more talented than others, but I'll take the guy who just cannot stand losing and just wants to win. I believe that series has officially now said, hey, this is now Anthony Edwards franchise, right?
Yep.
Karl Anthony Towns going in. This was his, obviously more established right now in the NBA because of his years in it. But I think after that series, they get it. Like, okay, this is going to be his team now. And I don't know if they're going to just full on give him the keys just yet because of how young he is, but I think everyone understands this is going to be his team, right?
Yeah, no, they 100% need to give him the keys. And honestly, it should be, all right, now that we see he's the guy who drives the car, let's try to get pieces that fit him. Like maybe like as good as D'Angelo Russell was at times, maybe he doesn't fit this team. Maybe you go find someone that fits Anthony Edwards' play style. Maybe you try to construct it a little bit more to fit than Karl Anthony Towns. But I agree with you 100%. Like if it's not Anthony Edwards' team, then I don't know what the Timberwolves are doing, and you're threatening losing him at some point if you don't start building around him.
Yeah, it's insane. I think I always was curious, him or LaMelo, right? And you can appreciate both of them. You don't always have to compare, but when it's a 1 and 2 pick, you're always going to talk about it. And I said LaMelo has that Bluetooth quality where he just elevates everyone around him. He connects with everybody. And I said Anthony Edwards was more of that Wi-Fi. And I wasn't sure if he's going to get along with everybody, but I know if he does, it's stronger. Now, that's what I said about LeBron and Jordan. I see a lot of Jordan and Anthony Edwards, and I see a lot of that Wi-Fi. And before, I was higher on LaMelo. Now, I think I'm higher on Anthony Edwards.
Ooh, see, I'm glad you brought that up because I was asking this to, I forget who I asked this to on my radio show, but that's something that I was talking about. Like, is it now time to give Anthony Edwards his props as like the number 1 pick? Like, and I think I'm seeing it. I'm not ready to call it, but in the playoffs, Anthony Edwards looked better than LaMelo did in the play-in. And I'm like, if you ask me tomorrow, I may say LaMelo, but at this moment, it's like, I'm gonna take like Ant just by like a smidge.
Ant's a moment. Ant seems to be like a moments guy.
Yeah,
right? He lives up to
like that big 3 where he tied it up, and you think they're gonna win, and then they just go flummoxed it up, man. Like I was like, oh god.
That's the most frustrating thing too, because you can make the case now. That's all of sports. You can't always live down the if world, but they really should have won that series.
100%.
There were so many games. They're up 20-plus points. They blow it. They were up, and then they blow a close one. And then the last game, they're up, and then they blow it. It's like it's just a young team, right? So that's the criticism of a young team that you're always worried about is how they close out games, the experience, who do you go to. But it just showed you the talent that this team does have. So the front office finally has something to work with now with Minnesota. It's like, okay, now you got the talent. Now,
shout out to Rosas, man.
Yeah, if you butchered this, that's on you.
100%. Shout out to the GM Rosas. I'm all about giving these GMs credit of these small markets like David Griffin, Rosas, like people who got a lot of flack. Like the T-Wolves weren't good, the Pelicans. Now these guys are ascending. So like shouts out to Garen Rosas and what he built with the Timberwolves.
GMs don't get enough credit, and I've always said producers and directors don't get enough credit. Because producers nowadays, like with the rap industry, if Lil Uzi didn't have his producer, if Lil Baby didn't have his, if Future didn't have his, you don't hear it. They're not anywhere near what they are now. But producers don't get enough credit. GMs don't get enough credit for putting these teams together. Directors for putting out great films. You just think movie star. But now they play Golden State. It's a completely different beast now. We went from a young team with no experience to now a championship pedigree team who knows how to win games. And they proved it already. In a close game, they knew how to close it and get it done. Yep. I think Golden State wins this series pretty easily, in my opinion. I think Ja will have some big games, or they may get a game or two. But I don't think it'll ever be in question. I'm going with Golden State this series, and it's going to be between Golden State and Phoenix that comes out of the West, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. And look, I think Ja Morant has 2 pathways I can see him going down. He could be that he could be let me not start off with the bad. He could be Derrick Rose MVP season, getting everybody involved, playing fast tempo, or I could see him being the Russell Westbrook, I dribble the air out of the ball guy. We've seen both in the playoffs where I'm going to be Derrick Rose, I'm going to get everybody involved, my teammates, we're moving the ball fast. or I'm dribbling the air out of the ball and I'm playing a little bit more ISO than I should. And in times in that Minnesota series when he was doing that, that's when they were losing, and Desmond Bane would have to bail him out, or Derek Brooks would have to bail him out. And I think that's something that Ja's going to have to learn on. We have to play where I'm with a bunch of shooters. I have to keep the ball moving. And if not, then it's going to slow down. It's going to slow down how we're playing, making it more half court, which is in our detriment. I think the Grizzlies are better when they're playing in transition, throwing alley oops, getting open threes, and not in that half court isolation basketball. And if the Warriors force them into that isolation basketball, it's going to be a long series for Ja and the Grizzlies.
Right. And I have more faith in Ja than I do the other explosive point guards. I think he has more self-awareness than Russell Westbrook. And I think he's more of a student of the game. No disrespect, Westbrook's an all-timer, but I don't think we're going to see the same kind of downfall. Downfall seems so mean. Like I'm trying to
downturn. I got you.
Yeah. I think Ja is going to evolve his game, and I think he's going to continue to be smart with it. So I think even though he could go down that path, I don't think he will, just because I think the way he approaches the game already, I think he sees it. And I think nowadays, because I don't know if this is like a old head take, but you have social media, like everything is literally right in front of you. So you can say, hey, here's another athletic point guard. Look how he aged. I don't want to do that. So how can I not do that? You know what I mean? Like there's so much information available for you. Okay. So then we go Phoenix, Golden State, and then it looks like you said Milwaukee, and then, or the winner of the Boston Milwaukee.
Yeah, the winner. Cause I still can't. I got to see how Tatum and Jaylen Brown responds, because I don't think Jaylen Brown's going to get 12 points again. Now, I'll say this. If he does, it's going to be a long series for the Celtics, too, because that's the thing. Like, we're going to see with both with the Bucks and Celtics and with the Warriors and Grizzlies. And I know the Bucks aren't this old veteran team, but more so with the Warriors Grizzlies. Will the veteran team succeed, or will the young guys overtake it and say, this is our conference? And over on the East, is it, okay, you're the head honcho, you're the defending champs, we're going to unseat you, and now it's this birth of Milwaukee-Boston rivalry between Tatum and Giannis.
Right. Yeah, Tatum definitely took a leap. I'm not here to say he's the second best player in the world right now, like some people, but I do think he definitely took a leap.
I think it's too early for that. I agree with you.
Yeah, I remember saying, and I know a lot of people are going to hold me accountable for it and hold my feet to the fire, I didn't know if you could win with him as the guy. And a lot of people like that he just won that series. So I'm like, okay, we'll see. He hasn't won yet.
This is the big test. This is the test right here. Can he keep it to where he doesn't fall in the trap of ISO ball, like I'm a jack up 33s. Yep. Like he has to say, all right, I'm gonna get Jaylen Brown involved. I'm gonna get Al Horford that corner three, and then in the fourth, that's when I'll take over. Give me the ball and play through me.
100%. Last thing before I let you go here, sir. Doctor Strange. Give me your scale 1 to 10. How good do you think it's going to be?
I think Doctor Strange will be a solid 8-8. I think it'll be a solid 8-8, 8-9. I think it'll teeter. I do think it'll be better than Spider-Man, for the sense that it'll be a better overall. I think it'll be a better overall story, because I really have qualms with spoiler on who died in Spider-Man. I think they killed the wrong person. That's a conversation for another day. But I do, and I do think Doctor Strange will have the same cameo effect that Spider-Man had, because I think we'll see some people. Professor X from the X-Men movies, the OG Patrick Stewart. I think we'll get some cameos that will match a Tobey Maguire, match a Andrew Garfield. So we'll have that front of hypeness for box office. But I think when it comes down to me with movies, which story is better? And I think I'm leaning towards the Doctor Strange story being a little bit more concrete, because, bro, I still don't know why at the end of Spider-Man he just didn't make a spell that everybody forgot, but insert people whatever.
That's the same thing. I was like, why wouldn't you just go over the stipulations before you do it? Like, hey, you know what? These 3 people can come back, but everyone else can. Okay, cool. None of this ever happens. But
exactly.
The thing, though, I'm really interested with Doctor Strange, because, like you said, Wolverine was a part of the big 3. And so now that I believe, I could be wrong, MCU has the rights to the X-Men universe.
Yes, they do.
And even though there has been some really good X-Men movies, they haven't really done it the way that this new Marvel era has. So I believe that could be the next, because let's just be honest. So you had the Eternals. What was the next movie after that? It was like the there was just a new wave of MCU movies.
Oh yeah, you had you went Shang-Chi, Eternals, and then to this year in the Spider-Man into where we are now.
People like what they already know, and I don't think these new characters are going to be as popular as an X-Men, for example. So if they can really reboot this X-Men thing the right way,
it'd be huge.
And this could be the first dibble and dab in it with Professor X. So I'm really curious to see how they do that, and then a Fantastic Four eventually, because they've never done Fantastic Four correctly. Ever. And so
the closest thing is The Incredibles by Disney.
I didn't even see the new Fantastic Four because people said don't even waste your time. I was wow, okay, I won't. And I took everyone's word for it because it was just unanimous. So I think this could be the intro to that whole thing, and I'm intrigued. That seems like the new popular thing, right? The whole multiverse thing, getting involved. So Spider-Man, No Way Home, though, I thought that was a top 3 Marvel movie.
It was up. Look, I like it. I thought it was solid. I got my qualms with it. But look, Doctor Strange, like you said, we're going to see Professor X, the intro to whatever these mutants will look in the MCU, which I think it'll be the best we've gotten of the mutants. And then Fantastic Four, the first family, like that's Marvel's bread and butter. Like, I know we talked about their big 3, but Fantastic Four has to be the fourth face on that Mount Rushmore. So I think with both those franchises, you can see that in this Doctor Strange movie, and I'm excited because now it seems like Doctor Strange will be the Tony Stark of this new era going into.
I was just about to say that. He seems like the new Robert Downey Jr. right now.
Yeah, like, that's what they're pushing, especially with, like you said, they're going for the multiverse angle. The villain that they have that they're planning is Kang the Conqueror. He's a multiversal guy, so it seems like Doctor Strange has to be the linchpin to all of this.
Now, I haven't watched a lot of the Marvel shows, but some of my friends have told me and said that he's supposed to be bigger and badder than Thanos.
He is, man. Like, Kang the Conqueror, Thanos gets the Infinity Stones and all that, but Kang the Conqueror does some crazy, crazy stuff in terms of, like, the MCU and destroying the Marvel universe and whatnot. He's a bad man. And honestly, if you haven't seen the TV shows, you should check out Loki before Multiverse of Madness, because that's the start of this multiversal stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. So I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you, brother.
Do this again. So before you go, where can people check you out on social media, your podcast, your radio show, debate Marvel topics with you? The floor is yours.
You can follow me at LinBWT on Twitter. Follow the Bros Who Think, which is my podcast network, at Bros Who Think. You can find my podcast and my podcast network wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Bros Who Think Network. And yeah, man, my radio show, Rise and Grind, with Lynn Burton every morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. on ESPN Lafayette. You can get the ESPN Lafayette app. And follow me on TikTok, Lyndon James Burton. I'm building it. 4 videos a day, Max. Gary V said 4 videos a day will blow you up on TikTok, and I've been doing it consistently for like a month and a half now before they change this algorithm. I've grown tremendously in that time. We're pushing the TikTok agenda. Follow me at Lyndon James Burton. Oh, bro, my girlfriend's like, you're doing too much. And I was like, nah, you don't understand the grind, baby, the grind.
Wait a second. Time out. I was going to let you go, but you brought it down. Hold on. Because this is so weird, because I just have a new camera set up. I'm like, you know what? It's time. I need to.
You need to.
And so 4 videos a day, and you've noticed it's grown you substantially.
Like, okay, so I was watching just on my TikTok feed, Gary V came across, and he was talking about how you need to hurry up before they change the algorithm, because apparently they're going to change it, if not by the end of this year, definitely by the end of next year. And he said you need to catch it like how Vine was before the Vine boom of you got to put 3 to 4 out a day. If you sometimes you can do 2, but you got to try to consistently hit 3 to 4. And bro, I've seen an uptick in following for sure. Like, I've gotten like 150 within the span, like, I don't want to bullshit you, but within the span of like 2 weeks, bro. Like, it blew my mind.
Look at shout out to Gary V.
Gary V, bro, putting people on. I'm just saying, 4 a day, try it. But you definitely need to be on TikTok. You're like, bro, some of the sports stuff I see on there, you kill that shit, bro. You know,
that's what I'm thinking. I'm just the editing and the different. So I need to. My girlfriend said she's gonna help me out. So I said okay, because she's on TikTok all the time.
Definitely get on it, because there's sports podcasts that are getting interviews with like Jason Williams, and like I see takes with people like, yeah, bro, like dudes who started on TikTok that like have had like hot takes for TikTok, and like Nah, bro, you'd kill it. That you definitely like if you bring like your comparison to like how you compare to the Marvel heroes, that's TikTok gold.
Wow. Okay, I better check it out, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you, and
ain't no thing.
We're gonna chop this up soon.
Yes, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day, my brother.
Talk soon.